Well, hello gamers. I hope you like bacon because I've got one heck of a list for you today. It's Bruski, and this is Checklist Episode 6, where your list is my command. So, I'm circling around to some of the guys who put in 2 requests at the start, so we're going to get to one list today with dgmperator from Reddit. We did another list of his with Trollbloods a couple of weeks back. This time he's got a Pharaoh list, so we're going to be going over this. This is a 25-point Thornfall Alliance list, minions, in case you didn't know. And we are using Helga the Conqueror, Helga 1. This literally is the embodiment of "it's not over till the fat lady sings" and "did you call me a pig?" Anyway, so dgmperator gave me this list, and he's proud of it because he's worked out certain models to be in it. Uses just about every type of beast. It's a cute list. It's definitely good. It's got a lot to it. So we've got Helga 1, Helga the Conqueror. We've got a Battle Boar, a Gun Boar, a Splatter Bore. Got enough pigs? A Warhog, a max unit of Pharaoh Brigands with the Warlord, a unit of Pharaoh Valkyries, and a Swamp Gobber Chef. So that's about the only thing that's not a pig in the whole list, and he's serving them up for dinner. Anyway, so theme buffs here. Again, Thornfall Alliance. We get the War Beast gets Salvage, which means a Warjack destroyed in melee range removes D6 damage from the model. If it's a heavy or colossal jack, it's D6 plus 3. So against War Machine armies, if you take out Warjacks, this thing will actually heal your beasts. Pharaoh Warriors get Rise, which means in the maintenance phase after they're knocked down, they can get back up. And you get to deploy 2 trench terrain pieces before you actually put models on the board. So you're going to be able to set yourself up with some defensive terrain where you want it, when you want it, taking advantage of that as you move up the field. Surprisingly, you've actually got a lot of shooty stuff in this list, but again, we'll get to your Warlock first. So, all right, Need Overkill, Miss Piggy Sings. Helga 1 has a feat, Grand Finale. So when friendly model in control range hits an enemy with a basic melee attack, instead of normal damage roll, they're slammed D6 inches away, power equal to power plus strength. This is normally a War Beast or Warjack only thing, and all your models basically can slam for that 1 round. If you want to basically get into a charge and knock people back and do additional damage, this is for you. So what does she have? She's got Assault, which means she can charge, shoot right before she gets in, and then smack someone in the face. She's got Tough, she's got Gang Fighter, so when there's other models in range, other friendly models, she'll be taking advantage of easier time getting attack rolls. Field Marshal Gang Fighter, which means her beast will get the same thing. Set Defense, models in her front arc get -2 on their charge, slams, and impact attack rolls, so people are not going to want to charge her if she's facing them. And Veteran Leader for the Pharaoh Valkyries. While in command range, they get +1 to attack rolls. They're a small unit, but they have a lot of damage potential, so this is definitely something you're going to want to use. They're going to want to pair up with her. Weapons. She's got the Shield Gun or Buckler Gun, hence the Assault, so she can actually declare a charge, shoot, and then get into it with melee. And she's got a Spear that has Magical and Inflict Pain, so when this actually hits a War Beast, you can actually add or remove 1 Fury from that War Beast. Doesn't transfer over to Helga, it just means you can manipulate the Fury on the War Beast. So if you want this thing to Frenzy next turn, you can add. If you want it to just poop out and not be able to do anything or not be leeched, you can take away. Alright, so for her spells, she's got Cyclone. This is on the caster only. She gets full advance, she ignores free strikes, 1 basic melee attack against each model in line of sight and melee range. So she can basically just suddenly move out of nowhere, make a melee attack at everything in range. It's a good way to take out light infantry. Dash, you know what, you love it. Spellcaster and friendly models activating in the control range get +1 speed, and your models get parry, which means no free strikes. Defender's Ward, friendly model or unit gets +2 defense and armor, must be in formation. Distraction, target warrior model or unit can't make ranged attacks, and it's -2 defense and melee attack for 1 round. This is a really good way to nerf somebody so they can't shoot and basically can get shot at and get attacked. I think that's a really good way to set them up for her feat, actually. And then Muzzle. Enemy War Beast damaged by Muzzle can't advance toward the spellcaster for 1 round. It's an offensive spell. In other words, you cast this on a War Beast. If it does damage, then they can't actually go at or charge your caster. So it's a good way to get up close if you know there's going to be a beast up there that you don't want to deal with. Cast this on them as an attack, you'll do some damage, and you'll keep them from charging Helga. Alright, so overall, the feat you're really going to have to be careful to use, because you're getting a slam. You're going to knock everyone away from you for a little bit, which means they can either keep moving backwards if they're still alive, potentially to shoot you or to counter charge you. But if you do enough damage, that's going to be pretty devastating. It's going to actually back them off as well. So if you want to buy that room, if you want to buy space, that's going to be useful. With the spells, I think Cyclone's going to be great against troops. I wouldn't use that if it means she's going to get stuck into more than she can handle. Dash is obviously good if you're trying to get things into close combat. Defender's Ward, defensive buff, very standard. She's a box caster. She's a toolbox caster. I could really see her just helping just about anyone in the list out. It just depends on what you're trying to do and what you're running up against. If you're running up against a shootier army, you're going to want to use those 2 trenches, and you're going to want to use Defender's Ward. Particularly if they're shooty, you're going to love Distraction, because you can potentially render an entire unit null and void. It's got a lot to her. All right, moving on to the battle group. We got a Battle Bore. This thing's freaking weird. This has Adrenalize. Model gains Berserk and Overtake for the activation. As soon as it's done, it takes D3 damage. So you're going to basically give yourself pluses in melee, but you're going to take damage at the end of it. Berserk means after it destroys 1 or more models in melee, it has to make 1 extra attack against the model in range. Downside I can see to this is if there's no model in range, then it's going to be on one of your guys or something. Overtake, when it destroys 1 or more models, it can immediately advance 1 inch. So potentially that means that you're not going to be lacking for a model. If you kill something and there's something 1 inch away, you can move close enough to it to do some damage. And then after that, you take D3 damage. Not too bad. He's just got close combat weapons. Got 2 claws. His Animus is primal. This is really, I think, why you take the model. Target friendly beast gets +1 strength and melee attack. So this thing is, not only is it a beat stick, but it's also buffing other beat sticks. It's going to give them a lot more strength and melee potential. I can see this going a lot of ways. You can cast this on your Warhog. You could use this on itself. I don't know. It's just between this and using something out of Helga's list, like potentially Cyclone or Dash, you're going to set things up for melee very, very well. All right. Moving on. You've got 2 shooty light boars here. You've got the gun boar. I love, by the way, that this thing has a rule called BACONNN. That's funny as hell. When this model dies, each living beast in base to base can remove D3 damage points. Handy, but who the heck is going to stick with this guy? I mean, you've got 2 gun boars, basically. You've got 2 shooting boars. Unless they're just buddying up for the whole list, I don't know how that's going to work. And you can't necessarily plan when it's going to die unless you're making this thing, a sacrificial pig. Neither here nor there, but it's something you can take advantage of. If you know you have a weak beast and this thing's going to die, move it up. I don't think the Swamp Gobber Chef actually... Yeah, Stews On only applies to warrior models, so it can't make your beasts edible for the other ones. It's meant to be big models or snacking on small models, and that's how they regenerate. So you can't really take advantage of that here, but again, if something's nearby and you know it's going to die, maybe have it stick around. All right. So he's got a big gun. It's an area of effect gun. High explosive blast damage means 10, so again, that's going to be good for taking out squads. 2 fists for close combat. His Animus is Counterblast. It's a self-spell. When an enemy model advances and ends within the caster's command range, the caster can make 1 basic melee or ranged attack targeting that model. So if you want to set something up defensively, if you're expecting a charge, cast this on a beast or something that's going to be close by. It can basically make a free melee or make a free shooting attack. And you've got another shooty boar plus this guy. So you can basically set them up kind of as a picket unit, sort of daring your opponent to charge. They charge in, they get shot at. So potentially you could end them right then and there if they're weak enough. If you pair this up with Distraction, Helga's spell, -2 defense for 1 round, I could see this taking out your more armored targets pretty well. Moving on to the Splatter Bore. Love the name again. This guy's got bacon too, so this is the other baconator you're working on. He's got an alchemical mask, doesn't suffer gas effects, and can ignore cloud effects on concealment given by them. So if you have something that's using screening or using gas to screen, Trencher Grenadiers, Cricks, Smog Belchers, those kind of things. You can see through that. He's got an Alchemical Mortar, which is a 3-inch area of effect with arcing fire and multiple ammo types. So you can basically do 3 different types of damage here. You can pick Acid Blast. The models hit take a corrosive continuous effect damage. Psychoactive Gas. Living beasts get 1 fury point unless they can ignore gas effects. This I can see as a way to cause frenzy on opposing beasts if they're maxing out, if the caster's not super efficient. Hypothetically, if you shot this at your own, you could pump them up for more fury if that's what you're trying to do, but I don't know, you're also going to damage them. Smoke Blast causes fire damage and creates a cloud effect. And of course, he's got 2 fists. So you can either lay down cover, melt things with acid, or you can make them go psycho with fury. That's handy. Animus, Lucky Shot. Friendly model gets +2 to area of effect ranged attack rolls. When the area of effect deviates, you can re-roll direction and or distance, but only once. So I would almost use that on the Splatter Bore since he's got... or sorry, not the Splatter Bore, the Gun Bore, since he's got a little bit more... his gun's a little more effective directly. Also, if you're using it against a unit, you can re-roll the deviation if you really want to hit more models. It might be worse on the second roll, but whatever. Okay. Moving on. This is your one heavy. This is the Warhog. This guy is just a beat stick. He's an absolute beast in melee. Aggression Dial gets +2 strength for an activation. At the end of the turn, it takes D3 damage points. Again, this is your trade-off of I get more swole for I take damage. 2 melee weapons, Cleavers, Power and Strength 17, and Gore. I assume that's his tusks or something. Power and Strength 16, melee with critical knockdown. His Animus is Irresistible Force. Caster gets Bulldozer for 1 turn. When that model is base-to-base with an enemy during the movement phase, it can push models 2 inches away. Hook that up with Dash, Gangfighter, and Primal from the Battle Bore, and this guy is actually going to wreck anything, including Colossals. So if you're dealing with a bigger target on the board for whatever reason, this guy can do the damage on it. Alright, getting into the units, you've got Pharaoh Brigands, max unit with the Warlord. These guys have advanced deployment, dgmperator, I'm sensing a theme here. Pathfinder, tough, dig in, so they can basically get into cover. Hog Wild Order. Models make 1 ranged attack before the unit does normal movement. Must use the movement to run or charge. If it can't, it can forfeit the combat and make a full advance. So that's a way to shoot and then move them, get them out of the way, or get them where you want them to be. So they can either sort of do a pop out and shoot and come back, or they can use that to charge forward. You can basically treat it like assault, shoot, and then get into a charge. The Warlord has Gunfighter, Tactics, Prey. After deploying, pick an enemy model or unit as prey. This unit, then, the whole squad, gets +2 to attack and damage rolls. Hoo boy. So you're basically selecting out you. You're my bitch. And you go after that unit. The beauty of this is, normally in games when I see this kind of a rule, it ends when you kill that unit or that model. Not the case here. You actually get to pick another unit or model. So this thing will selectively, if it's alive, will go through your entire opponent's army going, you're next. Tonight, you. That's going to be funny. All right. Yes, that was an Aqua Teen reference. Hand banana. All right. And they also get reposition 3 at the end of a turn. If they didn't run or fail a charge, they can advance 3 inches. So these guys have a lot of mobility to them between advanced deployment, Hog Wild Order, and reposition. There's a lot of flexibility to where they can go on the board. All right, getting down to the meat and potatoes here, we got Pharaoh Valkyries. They are tough, they are gang, they have point blank, they can melee with a ranged weapon. Shield Guards, they can take damage in place of another unit or model. And Vengeance, if 1 or more models in this unit were damaged by enemy attacks last round, they can advance 3 inches and attack in melee with their maintenance phase. And then they've got Buckler Guns, Warhammers with critical knockdown. These guys are very versatile, they're somewhat tough, they're somewhat hard to kill. They're very small is the only problem I see with them. You're going to want to gang up on a beast with these or take out solos. I can't see them holding their own against a max unit of 10 or more. Vengeance will get them into melee faster. I suggest, obviously, you keep them near Helga so they can take advantage of her veteran leader and get +1 on attack. And last, you got the Swamp Gobber Chef. This is just for Fury management. He's a 1-point model. He has Backstab, curiously, so if for whatever reason he does get into combat, if he's in the back arc, he gets an additional dice to damage and attack rolls. And his big rule is stews on. Friendly warrior models get comfort food in command range. So it makes warriors edible for beasts. If models within 1 inch of the beast, it can basically eat them in control phase and remove any number of fury points. So if you're frenzying, if you're not managing very well, if you're overloading, this model basically casts comfort food on other warrior models. It'll cast them on infantry basically. So you really only have the Valkyries and the Brigands, but it can turn them into food for a beast. They can snack on one, remove their fury, and go back to normal. Kind of a downside in that you'll lower the size of your army, but again, if you're needing that, if you're about to frenzy your beasts, well, might be a worthwhile trade-off. I wouldn't use them on the Valkyries though. They're too good. They're too good at what they do. They have too many different abilities. I think you're really going to have to use those on the Brigands, which means it's going to have to be close enough. I don't believe you can use this on enemy models, so you're going to have to use it on friendlies. It's the one weird choice in the list, to be honest with you, but he's 1 point. That might come in handy. It might come down to that one war beast. I could see that having some use. It's just going to be kind of weird, and this guy, honestly, I could see him just getting killed off just for annoyance. I don't know, but anyway. So, Deej, there's your list, man. I hope you like it. You did definitely put some work into this, and I do see a lot of potential here. If you have opponents who love the Lion King, they're going to be doing all the Mr. Pig jokes. You're just going to have to live with that one, man. But, yeah, I like it. I think you've got a good gun base. Your Brigands, they are close combat and shooting. You've got the two, the Splatter Bore and the Gun Boar. Those guys are going to be taking stuff out before you get in close. You've got a good setup with this. You've got a good ability to do a number of things. You can hold objectives early with the advanced deploying Brigands. You can shoot things off of objectives with the two Gun Bores. Your Warhog can really scare the bejesus out of things with the right combination of spells. I think it's a very good list. It really can do a lot of things you want it to do, and I think that's going to surprise your opponents quite a bit. I don't see a lot of these. I've never seen a Pharaoh list, to be honest with you, in anything I've played. That's not, I'm not extremely experienced. I haven't been all over the place playing for decades, but I've never seen one of these. So I think it's honestly going to surprise your opponent what this can do. That's going to be your big advantage, unless they watch this video. Anyway. All right, guys, so that's it for another list. I'm actually running low on these, so if anyone wants to request a list or has models and they're wondering how they can put this together, definitely leave me a comment with your list or the models you want to see or the army you want me to make for you. You can also email me. My email's in the description. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Reddit. I'm all over the place. So, again, send me your stuff. If this has helped you, by the way, leave a like, share it with a friend, subscribe if you want to see more of my content, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay savage, guys.